Howdy ho, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the XForceGlobal channel. Thank you very much for joining me here today. Hope you all had a fantastic weekend. Today we're back with another Bitcoin analysis. I know you guys love these videos, so I'm here to make sure to update the price action as much as I can, as often as I can, and see how we can update the price action from our prior analysis and see how we can go forward with the updated wave counts. Now again, as a quick disclaimer, I must cater to both the bulls and bears, so I hope my analysis does show a neutral approach to help build your own thesis on the bearish or bullish outcome. But again, I do my best to share the probabilities according to my own thesis and personal sentiment. And again, none of this is financial advice. So starting right off the bat, we're going to start off with the macro analysis this time since we do have a little bit more information. Now, Bitcoin is still currently ranging within this region. We haven't broken the all-time highs, but still we do have enough information to talk about what kind of thesis we can be building for how this wave 5 of this wave 3 primary degree is going to be ending. So we have a few ways. Now, for me personally, I do think that we will get some kind of extended wave 5. Now, that would be extremely bullish, but again, we have to also talk about how we can be rational at the same time. So there are two subcategories in terms of how we can extend this wave 5. To me personally, I think that this idea would make the most sense where we're working in that 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, and then we'll have another pullback of a 1, 2, and then we'll have that 3, 4, 5 internally for that wave 5 of the intermediate degree to complete off that wave 3, and then we'll have another sharp pullback for wave 4. Now, it's still quite early to call, so there are a few ways that we can see how this is going to be extending. Again, this 5-way move into a wave 1 just seems a little bit more likely, but again, we can also extend this even further and say that it's even more bullish by saying that we're in a 1, 2, 1, 2, and then 3, 4, 5 into a 3, which would be even more bullish, possibly a little bit higher than what the current expectation is for this wave count. And then we should end anywhere in between the $100,000 to $150,000 level if this count is going to be deemed as the main count for a bullish continuation for the rest of the year into 2025. Now, again, too early to call. We don't want to piss off the bulls or bears at the same time. We just want to be a little bit more rational. So that idea comes into play where we have to make a small fine adjustment that this wave 1 is longer than this wave 3, and then we'll have a forced wave 5 to be short, which means that we have to say that this is going to be the end of the bull market and say that wave 5 is going to be short, and then we'll have a wave 3, and then we'll have another similar type of pullback, and it possibly most likely as an ideal sharp pullback. Since wave 1, 2 was sideways, we're going to expect this wave 3, 4 of the primary degree to be a little bit more sharp in nature because we haven't had those kinds of sharp nature pullbacks within time as well for this wave 4s. And I think this idea is just a little bit more likely, and we'll have a more rational approach that wave 5 is going to be ending here. But again, this just doesn't seem likely to me, even though it is the most rational idea. Just this 1, 2, 3, 4 just seems like there's something missing here, and this void, although we don't know what's going to happen at price discovery, I just think that for some odd reason, just based on feeling that we will have an extended wave 3 based on however this is going to be extended as we get into price discovery. But again, that idea is still there where wave 3 can end here, and we'll have that wave 4 similarly of a pullback just like this 1, 2, and then we can kind of get our idea whether this is the completed trend or not. So that's going to be a little bit more helpful when we do get into all-time highs. So that's just a more of the bullish approach. Now we do have that combo idea, which is just as bullish, right? Because we're looking for higher levels regardless up into the $100,000 regions. But again, this idea is just looking a little less likely as a combo idea where we have a flat into W, flat into X, and a possible zigzag or triangle into a wave Y that'll end the intermediate wave 4. But again, I haven't seen personally, just back testing over and over and just researching, I haven't seen any kind of combo, not only within Bitcoin, but just overall in general markets of commodities, stocks. We just haven't seen these. It's just more likely applicable to Forex markets, where markets are more sideways than anything else, especially with currency pairs. I think this idea of having a WXY, although deemed valid, this was our original narrative. We were looking for higher levels, but now that idea has transitioned to the idea that this was the end of something and we're looking for higher levels just on the simplicity of impulsive structures. So this WXY scenario, although valid, I don't think it's going to be the likely idea where we just create another 3-way move, which will create a larger range of this intermediate 3-4. But again, we just don't know. This idea could transform into a different type of corrective pattern. In my opinion, if it were to do a sideways movement, it would have to be a primary 3-4 being in the making against this 1-2 over here. And this internal structure was the end of a trend in the middle of the wave 3. So instead of having wave 3 end up in here, we would alternatively say that wave 3 ended here. And again, I don't like this idea as well because this is a 1-2, 1-2 that I just don't feel like it's applicable. I think it's more likely as a flat idea where we have that wave 2 end here as a flat. It just makes more sense to me. But again, this 1-2, 1-2 idea still works and it will help us create a more symmetrical look for this wave 4. Again, to me, if this is going to be the case, then we would have an ABC, 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 so forth into a wave D and E, and then we would create a fifth wave from there, and that'll be the larger pullback for a more of a bear market approach in terms of a larger corrective move in time as well. So this wave 4 can also be turning into a triangle, but again, we don't want to be assuming triangles and diagonals too early. It's so exhausting, ladies and gentlemen, I know, but it is what it is, and I feel like that's possibly the only case that we can create for this possible wave 4 triangle as a sideways movement. So that's a little hope for the bears, I guess, because that does overlap into the idea that we're going to be expecting a wave Y to be a corrective structure as well as a zigzag of some sort, and this wave 4, it could be all, and that pullback in itself could be also part of a new triangle as well. So we'll see. We just don't know exactly how that's going to be playing out. So we just don't know, and we'll have to see going forward. So those are the overall macro scenarios. Now we want to be talking about how the medium time frames are going to be playing out, because I know you guys love the medium time frame just as much as I do, and we'll have to see how the current time frame is going to be playing out. So let's look at that. If we zoom in, we can see that we have been talking about the possible triangle idea for this primary 3-4 being created, right? So again, we're now zooming in, and we are now on the 1 hour time frame. And again, like I have said, this is the end of something as a wave 3-4, as a double zigzag, a WXY. So this was the end of something. I like to keep it simple and think that we are in new impulsive structure overall because of the lows off, the bounce off the lows. A 27% move to me is deemed as more impulsive than it is correctively, where we're utilizing this as a possible ABC or part of an expanded fly for this, and that gives us a really odd look for an impulse move. So to me, I'd like to see this as a 1, 2, 3, and now wave 4, just like we have been talking about from our previous videos, is that we're finally getting some resolution. We've talked about this on social media, that we were going to get some kind of resolution. Now wave D could still be in the making here, and wave E as well, as indicated by the green extension of the trend lines. But to me, I would rather just have the wave 4 complete as a triangle now. I think wave 4 I think it's completed now, and that would also give us the idea that we have already broken out of this trend line, and this trend line was extremely important in itself. That breaking out of that was a very big confidence booster, that if we do break further above this BD trend line, then I think another 1-2 pullback, that'll be the beginning of the new impulsive wave structure to the upside. So I think that is the case for Bitcoin for me, in my eyes, that wave D and E has already completed. But if not in the case and we still continue to range, we'll still have a symmetrical, or at least a symmetrical look in terms of the overall look, but not in time. I think overall we're starting to get quite extended in time for this wave 4 triangle, which will deem it as a little less likely. But to me, if this wave D and E, I'm very glad that we did create that move upside to the upside yesterday as a 3-wave fashion, and this E wave has also concluded. Now E wave can be truncated. It doesn't have to hit the trend line, ladies and gentlemen, remember that. So if it did truncate, which also means a failure to hit the trend line, wave E has also possibly concluded, meaning that breakout of this BD trend line, we're now working for the first part of this wave 1 to be created before we create 3, 4, 5 to the upside for this primary 5th. So again, we just need more data as we go on and see how this impulsive move is going to be happening. But for the time being, I think overall we can start concluding that this wave 3-4 is going to be concluding. I don't want to say that we're going to be creating a larger 1-2 idea, because that would be larger than this parent degree of this 1-2. Instead, if we're going to be working in that larger, very, very bullish 5th wave impulsive structure, extension rather, is the idea that we've already created the 1-2, 1-2 idea here. So that means that we have this first 1-2, instead of saying that this is a 3, this is the beginning of a new internal 1-2, sharp ABC in there. And then this move up here was based on market inefficiencies, we can't fit in a diagonal idea here. And this would be the beginning of our intermediate wave 1 idea. And then we have some kind of diagonal into wave A, B, and then C. Again, I don't like this idea in the sense that we're using market inefficiencies as the backup, but there has been so many market inefficiencies with the market that I can deem it accepted that we do have a forced ABC in here. I can force 5 waves into this move here, although it does look like a 3-wave move. So that's why we have that triangle as the higher alternative. But for now, if it's going to be deemed even more bullish, this 1-2 idea 1-2-1-2 idea is going to be extremely bullish. So this idea is still going to be my alternative, just depending on how far we extend further up, and if we do create a parabolic look in the nature of it, and if we continue on respecting the Elliott wave channeling technique, and also based on how far these shallow 1-2s and 3-4s are going to be happening going forward. So this idea is just more of a wishful thinking idea. Number one would just make more sense that if this range is being utilized as a triangle of some sort, and we continue up, and that wave A, B, C, D, E of the triangle has completed, wave 4 is completed, and if not, we can say that wave D is going to be here, wave E is going to be here, and then we can continue up just as likely. But again, bears are extremely frustrated within these levels that we still haven't invalidated the triangle. It's a triangle until it isn't, and again, wave 4 hasn't even been invalidated whatsoever, let alone the triangle. So that is very frustrating for the bears, I understand, but it is what it is. Sometimes you just have to make that market shift. That if you were a bear at that time, there was a pretty good solid possible diagonal being created here, but that idea is now being deemed as not likely to me, and I don't think I will even share that scenario. But for the time being, that's possibly the only way I'm going to be looking at the current market. If we do break into these levels, I don't even think that any bullish structure is going to be remaining. I think a lot of investor confidence will be lost if we do break into this, and if we do create a larger 1-2, then that will be very, very odd. I don't think that's the case. And if we do break down, I think it's going to be part of a larger, different corrective structure, which leads me onto that wave X idea, where we are creating that possible wave Y. Now, this idea, again, utilizing this range as a possible bearish triangle idea, we have a possible leading move into a wave A. And this is utilized as A, B, C, D, E, where we just swap the BD and the AC trend line, meaning that the B wave of the primary degree is going to end at this wave E of the top of AC trend line, meaning that we're still creating some kind of contracting look. But again, we still need the ideal 3-wave moves to be created for this wave E. And if it does, then we can expect wave A to wave C at least equal in length is going to be equality in terms of 1-to-1 ratio of the Fibonacci extension. And if that happens, this wave could be also the beginning of a possible triangle. And again, that's way too early to call for. So if that's the case, to me personally, I'd rather just have this finish as an impulse down to the 16181 target. And that'll help us finish off that wave Y. And that'll be a sharp C wave to the downside, and a C wave will be extended. So that will help us give or achieve that overall look for a double combo idea. But again, like I've said, this is now just merely an alternative. We're still monitoring it just based on the overall narrative that we have been expecting for this idea as the expanded flat for wave X has concluded. Again, it doesn't have to be, and we can even, again, utilize this whole move down as the ABC into wave W here that's terminated, and utilizing this move here as a 3-wave move into wave X. But again, it doesn't really matter because wave X termination is the same level. So the overall idea is just going to be sticking to whether this is going to be finishing as a simple zigzag or some kind of triangle for wave Y. And again, based on all my observations, like I've said, I have yet to see some kind of double combo being created within the larger macro timeframes for Bitcoin. We just haven't had a single one of those ever since these past 14 years, since Bitcoin's incorporation. I think that this is going to be turning into something else. Like I said, there's a possibility of a larger triangle being built up here. I'd rather have that idea than have this double combo idea. But again, this idea was one of our main ideas to work with. So we're just going to continue on and see how far it can actually go if this is the case. But for the time being, let's see how this plays out first, if we do in fact break these lows. But for now, since we haven't broken it, again, to summarize, we're going to talk about the idea that this double zigzag idea is going to be the more likely case, and we're utilizing this whole range here as an impulsive move rather than a corrective move. So yeah, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully that was extremely helpful. I do wish to have more ways I can give you the scenario, but for now I'm trying to narrow down the scenarios as best as I can for you with high probabilities. Again, if you're not or if you're interested in joining our XForceGlobal Discord membership, where I do more timely updates, please do not hesitate to contact me or reach out to me. As the link is in the description below, you can contact me through there. If you're also not following me on social media at X, formerly known as Twitter, please do give me a follow there at XForceGlobal. I do a lot of daily updates on there as well, do a lot of thinking out loud. So please do give me a follow there as well. And please stay tuned because I do have another video coming up very shortly, and it'll be a very fantastic altcoin that you guys are looking forward to, I'm sure. So thank you very much. I'll see you guys in the next video, and hopefully you guys have the fantastic rest of the week. Bye bye.